You know what I think? I think we get this one life, I do, and you account for what you've done in it, and if you don't, you pay for it when you die. You don't think? Shit. Son of a bitch. Fuck.
Okay, I got it.
Fucker. Make me another fucking drink, cocksucker.
Hello and welcome to the Old Boys Podcast with me, Jared, and the hostess with the mostest, my good old buddy, Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Jared. So, I was wondering if, we can get together sometime and talk about our listeners. I really miss them a lot. And, I just can't wait for them to hold me and just, touch me. I just miss their embrace so much. And the way they touch my nether regions, I just can't. I have them in my mind all the time. And if you could just really
Dan.
get together with me one day and then talk it out, and so you can.
Christ. Dan, you cannot do sexy talk right now. This is highly inappropriate.
I really miss my listeners, man. I really want them back.
All right, Dan, I'm going to turn the camera on. I need to get a better understanding of what's happening here.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
That was I Really Want My Listener Scene by the famed
yes.
Dan, Old Boy Dan.
Yes.
Which is me. Thank you for inviting me onto the show once again.
Sure, anytime, buddy.
I don't want to overstay my welcome is basically what I'm trying to say.
Really, you were supposed to be temporary.
I know.
You were just kind of a placeholder until I could find a real co-host. But
that's true. So now you have me doing this stupid shit, pretending to be Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it anymore, man.
It was my idea to get you to do it. And now I'm berating you.
Let me pop my knuckles in the microphone. That sounds good, right?
Good job with that. Can we do anything else that's awful? I'm just kidding. So this is the Old Boys Podcast. We said that. And here we like to talk about movies.
Yes.
This is a movie
make
podcast.
Jokes. So it's not all. See, listen, guys.
Can you believe it?
You get, right? There's so many of them, but this is our particular show. And I know you're tired of all these cliche movie podcasts. Well, guess what? Make room for one more because we analyze the films, but we also make jokes. And, despite, being amateur comedians, I think we're pretty good. Mm-hmm. And this is me telling you that we're good, so you listen to us. So you can take that with what you will.
If you've learned anything from last year, if you say something enough, it becomes real. Okay? It's called positive thinking, positive energy.
Yeah.
We're really funny and good, and this podcast is great. But Dan, what movie did we watch?
We watched a film that, I don't know, it was on Netflix for a while, and then it went away, and then it came back, and then you're like, oh, we got to do this movie. It's called Stone.
Yes.
And you want to know why it's called Stone?
Yeah, sure. I guess you could tell me.
Because the main character, the supporting character, his nickname is Stone.
Yes.
Because I almost said main character. He's not the main character. That was confusing.
I don't know. I think it's kind of split between the two of them. I feel like Mila Jovovich has a big role in this, but the story really doesn't focus on her. She's more of something.
I don't think it focuses on Stone either. I think it's all about Robert De Niro.
Really? You think the whole... well, I guess that makes sense.
Anyway, if you haven't figured it out, this film stars Robert De Niro, Mila Jovovich.
Take two. Can we get a take two on the Mila from
Mila Jovovich, known for her...
It's Mila time. And now to take our Mila time break.
Known for...
Everybody crack open a cold brew of Mila
known
time.
for her expertise in advertising for Miller Lite. Also, the Resident Evil series, where she played a character that has nothing to do with the franchise.
Yes.
And...
that's it.
Weird Nipples.
Very, I'd say powerful. That's
Also-
the word I would go with.
Edward Norton is in this movie.
Yes. Also, weird nipples.
Yeah. Do they bother you at all? Because they kind of bothered me. I don't go around judging people willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm. Except for their nipples.
Well, yeah, dude. That's like the first thing that you go for. Guys and girls. Just
Well, I feel like
everything.
my nipples are too tiny, so it's nice.
Yours
to know that
are
some
pretty
people's
damn tiny,
nipples-
but
See,
I don't
exactly.
judge my friends. Anybody
But,
who doesn't
you
look
know.
like me, I don't like.
Yeah, and if we've learned anything from last year, that's called a callback. It happened a couple of minutes
Oh
ago.
my God.
It's called a callback. All right. So yeah, this movie has a star-studded cast. It's
Star-studded.
2010. Lots of stars. Hollywood here.
Who directed
Hello, I'm
this? And
Mr.
What else
Hollywood.
did this director do? Because I didn't look that up.
John Curran. He's done such things as loading, waiting for the tab to open so I can read his works, his many works. He has so many works, and I can't wait to read all of them. Down, Rusty Down, Praise, The Painted Veil, Tracks, other things I haven't seen. But hey, they could be good, because I think, first impressions, by the way, I know I'm being silly, but I like how he directed this film. I thought it was well done. I thought it was well acted, too.
I want to agree with that. I absolutely want to agree with that. Before we move on, he has a
Yes.
film that was released last year called Chappaquiddick.
Uh-oh.
So go ahead and just...
Dan has just frozen for me. That's not
Uh-oh.
good.
Okay, whatever we were saying doesn't matter. We had technical difficulties. We're going to get into our first impressions just to get us rolling.
Yes. So yeah, I liked how this movie was directed. I thought all of the actors did a really phenomenal job. Some of the scenes in this felt like acting school stuff, like the actors would watch to get better at their craft. Like, here's how you do the acting.
So like Glengarry Glen Ross kind of?
Yeah. And it felt kind of like a play. And then I looked it up, and it apparently was originally supposed to be a play.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of funny. So in that respect, I enjoyed it. In terms of the plot, it kind of gets a little weird towards the end, and I don't know how to feel about it, honestly.
In terms of acting, I thought it was great. In terms of narrative, I don't think I liked it that much because I don't think. So here's what the film is. Here's a synopsis, and I'm
Yes.
going to let it speak for itself, and you can try to find where I find it to be strange. So there's a guy who is working as a parole officer, and he essentially like he's the go-between their parole hearing and their jail sentence. So like
Yes,
these people have
Robert
to go
De
up to
Niro
him
plays that.
and they have to be like, all right, this is what I did. I feel bad about it. And then he deems them worthy to go out into the real world, essentially, or possibly go out in the real world. And this guy is Jack Mabry. He's played by Robert De Niro. So he's an old guy. He's about to retire, of course. He eventually meets this scumbag named Stone. I forgot his real name already. It doesn't really matter.
It's
But
Ed Norton.
He's played by Edward Norton. And essentially, Edward Norton has no remorse whatsoever about what he did, which is he burned his grandparents' house down after they were murdered. And Robert De Niro knows this. He's not letting him go anywhere with it. So what Stone does is he has a dime on the outside, played by Mila Jovovich, and he's like, you need to get with this Jack guy so I can get out of here because I'm going insane.
Mhm.
So she starts to flirt with him over the phone. She invites him out, and she sleeps with him multiple times to influence his decision on letting Stone out.
Yeah.
Now, what he knows what he's doing is wrong, but he just can't help the younger woman's touch. Woo! Anyway. What happens during this, and here's where I'm getting, like, typical, right? This makes sense.
Yeah, this
It's-
seems
it's
like a plot, like a standard plot movie
Standard
thing.
plot. Now, Edward Norton, somewhere in the middle of this, finds some weird quasi-Buddhist religion
Yeah.
with a god named Zoltar or whatever the fuck.
Zoltar!
And he's like, it seems like he's doing it to be more con artistish,
Yes.
But he's not. He's completely buying into this shit and trying so hard to find his own personal Jesus in this weird thing. I know.
Personal. So the religion is called Zukangar.
Zukangar. Yeah.
It's actually taken from a real religion founded in 1965 called Ekkantar. And it's very, 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 very similar to the religion in this movie.
Bullshit, basically, is what it is. It's all about TM, transcendental meditation and all that shit, and like finding your center through sound, essentially.
Yes. Like you can hear God through sound.
And he buys into this, and you think he's just doing it to be a con artist, but no, he's like, oh, I'm really getting this. So throughout the last half of the film, Jovovich is still sleeping with Jack De Niro to get him out, and then he's like, maybe I don't want to get out anymore. It's like, well, then what what?
Yeah.
And that throws everybody out of sync because she's like, well, I want you out, and then Jack is now sleeping with somebody for no reason, and he has to deal, and like there's this whole past with Jack about his fucking wife and daughter. It's frustrating. I don't know.
Well, they take these established roles of a typical film you would think you're going to see, and then they flip all that shit upside down. And now you're like, I don't fucking know what people's motivations are or what's going on.
I feel like because they could have flipped it upside down and still had motivation, because the flip that happens makes everybody not have any motivation. No, it just makes Edward Norton have no motivation, and then the other characters are like, what are we doing now?
It really just seems like, to me, there's these two characters, his parole officer and the guy who's in jail. Both of them have done some kind of crime or done bad things. One of them is in jail and one of them isn't. And it's like they're having each their own existential crisis about where they are in their lives and how to deal with it.
But the film, I agree.
And their own weird thing with God too. It's like stuff about,
that's exactly what
does
happens.
God exist? Should I invest my time in this?
Now, commenting on the director, the way he frames it, did you not think that it was going to be more conniving on Edward Norton's part, and he's going to like try to fuck everybody over and get out?
Well, yeah, because it makes you think of that 24 Hours movie where he's a prisoner. And he's like pretending like, oh, I didn't kill anybody. And at the very end, he's like, I did kill everyone. And you're like, what? Oh my God. It's kind of like that big Usual Suspects twist you're waiting for. That shit does not exist in this movie. The movie just ends. And when the movie ended, I rewound the film and I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. What just happened? And I watched it again. And I'm like, okay. I guess it was kind of a revelation. But I want to see if you even thought of it this way, Dan. So the whole thing with the very intro scene when it shows that younger couple in like the 60s and the lady's like...
Let's be real here. That's probably the best part about the movie is how much alike the younger versions of De Niro and that one lady look.
Yeah.
It's so uncanny how...
Well, did you know that was supposed to be them?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't figure that. I forgot about them.
Because as soon as I saw that guy, I'm like, he looks kind of like Robert De Niro. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And that one lady, I don't know her name. I should probably look it up. But she is kind of in the Mist television series that didn't get picked up and was canceled. She's a very big player in that, so that's what I know her from.
Oh, Frances Conroy?
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, she was great in this movie too, and they didn't even give her a lot to do. But the scenes where she had, some of the scenes
I think she is my favorite character in the movie for sure.
Oh my gosh, it was great, man. So yeah, we can get into it proper. We're already talking about the first scene. So this first scene we're in the like 1960s or some shit, and it's a young Robert De Niro, and young Madeline is Frances Conroy's name in this, his wife, and they're together, and she is just, there's a weird somber, creepy energy, and this director likes to really just sit on things and have long shots and do pans and really just show people's emotion on their face without any dialogue, and it's really good. Like, I like a lot of that, and I think this movie was well paced for what was going on. I just don't think the writing, I don't know, it feels like a lot of times we're just left to sit too much.
Yeah.
This movie is hard to explain, okay? So she is sitting there. She tucks her little girl into bed. She looks like she's on the verge of tears, and she's just kind of like, You keep my soul in a dungeon. And then she's kind of staring at him, and he's like, what? Excuse me? And he was sitting on his couch, like drinking and watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I want to get a divorce, and I want to leave you. And he freaks out. I thought he was going to start hitting her, because that's what
he does
felt like.
the next best thing.
The most insane thing.
So
Jesus.
he gets up, and it just storms past her, just completely ignores her, like race car in the wind, like her hair flies back because of how fast he moves past her.
Yeah.
Goes up to his daughter's room. His daughter's room.
Yes.
Picks her up out of bed. I guess she's sick and sleeping. And then dangles her out the window saying, if you leave me, I'm going to drop her.
And he's in the second story. So
did I not?
It'd be funny if
that
it was
out?
the first story. Like, I'm going to drop her. You're like, oh, okay. All right.
Even then, I
Weirdo.
feel like that's a little bit much.
Yeah. It was kind of funny how the little girl did not wake up.
Funny?
How was she not awake?
Traumatized? I don't know.
Gosh.
My name's Jared, and I like to laugh at things that scar
Isn't it funny
children
when
for
child
life.
abuse happens? My name's Jared, and I love comedy. God damn it. I'm just saying it's fucking weird, all right?
It's weird. Yes, I get that. Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, the scene was really disturbing, and I somehow promptly forgot about it, and also did not realize that those were supposed to be the younger versions of this couple until the very end of the film when they're showing Madeline's looking through the photos, and it like shows them together, and I was like, oh shit, those are supposed to be the same person. So that was like the big twist for me.
So, but then, okay. So here's I don't know how we want to do this, because there's this weird motif of this fly, right?
Yes.
In these,
And she hears the fly in the beginning.
yeah, she hears the fly in the beginning, you hear it at the end too, and then it gets smushed at the end.
Does it?
Yeah. Like, the very end shot is, like, him closing the window, and then the fly gets smushed in it.
Oh. I thought the last shot was like Robert De Niro
Yeah, you're right.
staring off.
But
into nothing.
there's one where it flashes back to the past, I guess, and then somebody smushed the fly. But the idea is, you see the fly on the window whenever she says, my soul is trapped in here.
Yeah.
So the fly is like an allegory for being trapped inside your own house, like your own prison, essentially, and you're a fly and you can't fucking do anything.
Well, I thought it was all part of that religion, the weird Zubatar, whatever the hell it is, Xanadu religion, and where you're hearing sound, and sometimes when you're hearing a sound from God, it sounds like a buzzing, or like a change in your life, or something you should listen and follow and do is like a buzzing sound or a humming sound.
So it's both of those things.
Yeah. So I think that was supposed to be her big change. Like she should have left her husband, but she never did. So she's like, she closed the window on listening to that, I guess. I think that's what it was supposed to be.
I don't think it really matters,
I'm
honestly.
not sure. So yeah, we got to we got old Robbie De Niro's. He's going through his life, and they do this weird thing with like, it was like echoey. So he's listening to these caseworkers or these cases from these prisoners, and they're talking, and he's not even really registering what they're saying. He's already prejudging them so much that we're getting how he's feeling through the audio being muffled of when these guys are talking to him. And at first I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, oh, it's doing it on purpose because that's the way he feels. I'm like, that's kind of clever. So he's just kind of going through all the monotony, blah, blah, blah. And then he's talking with his boss, and his boss is like, yeah, I mean, you're going to retire soon. It's going to be great. And he's like, well, I wanted to finish up my last case files, and then we'll call it a week or whatever. So one of the last people he gets is Stone. And it's, thinking about it, this movie does a good job of like connecting a lot of things that kind of don't seem connected, like that fly and the weird religion and Stone. This guy's supposed to be named Stone, and apparently Stone also means soul, or like humans came from rocks. I don't know. This movie gets really weird with religion. It's all supposed to be connected, I think, in some way or another. And like you were saying, if you really focus on Jack or Robert De Niro being the main character, all of this shit is directed towards him. Like,
it is. That's why I took him to be the main character. And then one thing that really bothered me about the film, and I may be jumping too far ahead, was his Jack, Robert De Niro's character, falls way too quickly, in my opinion, for Milla's character.
Oh yeah, he is.
Like, it was like, no, I don't want to do this. And then the next fucking scene, he's in her apartment.
He is head over heels. Well, she does that sexy talk to him on the phone.
I still think it went too fast.
Ropes
honestly.
him in, but it was so silly. 'Cause
Ropes
the way she was
him
saying
in.
it, she was doing sexy talk, but not saying anything sexy. She was just
like
kind
I
of
did at the
describing how she,
Yeah, she's just like, she's talking about how much she wants him back. And then it just immediately, it's just like, that was the thing that set him over, but it was the stupidest fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
Yeah.
it was so dumb.
It was kind of silly. We'll get more into it. But there's also this big thing about Robert De Niro is supposedly religious, and his whole life has been based on a religion. I think it's Christianity.
It's
and
Episcopalian, so yeah, Christianity.
And he doesn't seem to believe any of that. He just does it because that's like the acceptable thing to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife is really into it, so he's just trying to believe it. And they drink a lot in this movie, him and his wife.
So much. One of my favorite scenes is whenever she's like drinking heavily and then lecturing him about the Bible, and he's just not listening.
Yeah, he does that a lot, whereas he's just zoning out, and his wife is trying to talk to him, and he's not paying attention. And he's just kind of like, she's just saying things. He's like, you lost your place again, blah, blah, blah. They do a lot of that where he was on the path of the Lord. He was on the righteous religious path, and he lost his place or he lost his way. And then they do another kind of symbolism thing with the eggs in this movie, which I guess, I don't know if it's too obvious or not, but basically Mila Jovovich is an egg. Dan, did you know that?
No, tell me more about this.
Well, okay, so when Mila finally convinces Robert De Niro to meet with her, right? He goes.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to talk about the casework. And she brings him to the daycare place where she works.
Yeah.
Or the school. She's a teacher. Sorry. And she is peeling off these eggs that the kids made for her for Easter or whatever.
Prior to that,
yeah,
what does she give him?
A wedgie?
Yes. And then after the wedgie, what does she give him?
Oh, a bird's nest.
Yes. So that's more on that.
Yeah. So like, here's a little bird's nest thing. And he throws it away because it's like a bribe or whatever, some weird shit. Well, with the egg thing, I think it's just some weird metaphor for him doing something like Adam and Eve like eating the fruit or something, some kind of shit like that. Because she's like offering him the egg like, well, why don't you take this egg? He's like, okay, I'll just have a little bit. He's like, why don't you have all of it? It was like this weird sexy talk with them and this egg. And then later on, his wife offers him eggs.
Wait, later on his wife what?
Offers him an egg.
And then?
Nothing happens. The scene just cuts away. But it's
so
like
he doesn't eat her
reference
egg?
to that. No, he doesn't.
So women produce eggs, dude.
Yes,
Where
I know.
do they produce eggs from?
They're chickens. I know this.
So women are chickens, and where do those sweet eggs come out of?
The vagina.
Exactly. So whenever he openly accepts... Yeah, exactly. I know that's what you're saying. I'm just explaining it for the listener. So we got women are chickens... And they shoot eggs out of their vaginas.
Yes.
And Robert De Niro is like all about that Mila egg.
And he's like, I want to get a new egg.
But he doesn't want the Frances McDormand. No, not Frances McDormand. That's fucking Fargo.
Frances Conroy.
Frances Conroy.
God damn. Madeline eggs.
Madeline eggs. He
wants
doesn't
those
want
new
those
Easter eggs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, Mila's just full of color, you know?
And spice. I think
what was her name in the
Lucetta. A weird ass name.
He wants that Lucetta egg.
Oh boy. And she does such a good job being this weird manic pixie lady who's just manipulating everybody for sex and just like a sex fiend maniac.
You know what?
What?
Her nipples were shaped like eggs.
God damn it.
Little like the little the Easter egg ones that are like coated in like this really hard candy. They're not M&Ms, they're harder than M&Ms. Yeah, those, but painted flesh.
Milk duds.
No, not even. Yeah, whatever. Fine, that works.
So I wanted to get in a little bit about some of the interaction between Stone and Jack and Stone.
Do you think
Stone
that there is like Mila Jovovich specifically?
Is this going to be about her nipples again, Dan?
No. But it's going to be about her sexually. Are you okay with that? We can move on if you're not.
Continue.
Do you think that there's like, I know there is like this kind of fetish, but do you think there's a specific one for Mila Jovovich to like blow her up to, you know, disgusting proportions because she's too skinny?
What? I don't know. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I thought you were going to say like she's going to step on my balls in high heels or something, like something normal.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, because they're wait. I'm going to look it up right now.
I mean,
whoever directed this, like James Caron or whatever, has an infatuation with Mila Jovovich's feet.
Where'd you find this?
I'm going to go to wikifeet.com.
Oh my god.
And I'm going to look up Mila Jovovich and
Get
see what her rating is.
Anywho, I want to play a scene, one of the introductory scenes from when Robert De Niro meets Edward Norton and they're talking about his parole case and some of the fucking awesome dialogue in this movie and world-class acting. Thank you.
I want to hear your side of it, that's why.
You know what? Just fuck this shit. Fuck you too. Man, I ain't got time for this bullshit.
Your son?
No, you just setting them up so they can flop me, man. So you write what you're gonna write, and let's just get on with it, man. Because I take the flop.
Stone.
Man, go ahead. Max
Son,
me.
calm down.
Max me. You don't think I did? I see that Max standing on my fucking
Stone.
head, man. I see you outside before you see me, bitch.
Stone! In about 2 fucking seconds, you're gonna go in the hole, and your file is gonna go to the bottom of my pile. You understand? You see that door in front of you? You know where it goes. Back. You wanna go back? Be my guest. You wanna go forward? You wanna walk out of here? You wanna find that door? Me, I'm that door, and you will go through me. If I ask you a question about the weather, you better fucking answer it, or go back and I'll see you in 3 years. You got it? Yeah. Then sit the fuck down.
But yeah, those scenes are pretty great.
Mila Jovovich has
Yes.
a rating on WikiFeed of 5 stars.
Out of 10?
Out of 5. For Beautiful Feet. Rating stats, 2,191 total votes.
All the same person.
1,440 people have voted her a 5. 428 voted her a 4. 221 okay, 52
Dan.
bad, and 50 is ugly. The first 5 pictures are from this film. Imagine that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not even notice the feet stuff.
Dude, they're all over this fucking movie. And I'm not noticing that because I have a foot fetish, because I don't.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Is that why we just spent 15 minutes talking about Mila Jovovich's feet?
That's exactly why we did not just do that, because it's only been 10. I've been counting because I pay really close attention to things that happen whenever we talk about feet. Not because that I have a fetish with feet.
Then why did you make me install this foot cam during our Skype conversations? And you don't even want to look at my face.
Moving on.
Dan is indiscriminate on his feet loving. It's anyone's feet. It doesn't care. He's a footmonger.
Well, I mean, we're all, you know that saying, we're all pink on the inside? Same thing.
No. Oh. Okay. No. Just no. No. So, oh, did you love that scene?
2 in the pink, 1 in the other pink.
2 in the pink, 1 in asking her if this is okay and respecting a woman. Thank you. So, how did you feel about what? I thought it was weird that Robert De Niro had a gun with him all the time, but yet his job, like, what does he do? He sits around. He can't even bring the gun into the prison.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, he carries it in his briefcase, and then before he goes into jail every single day, he has to take the gun out and get a token to get it back.
So, like, somewhere in between him traveling, he thinks he's going to get attacked while he's in his car or something. He's going to have that briefcase gun. Oh, yeah, there's a big theme in this movie of Christian radio and them talking about the Lord and all this other stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. And it really does revolve around faith and the loss of faith. I don't know. It's just, I'm sure other people could find deeper meaning to these things. I was just kind of okay with my understanding of how I felt about the film. Like how it really just made me feel instead of looking for a really deeper meaning of it, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
But like other movies, I would like, I want to go research and find out. This one was like, all right.
I feel the same way. I mean, like, I don't want to say I wasn't impressed with this movie because, like, I kept watching.
There's some interesting things for sure.
It's not by any means anything impressive to me.
Wait, did you just say this? You thought this movie was impressive, but also it was nothing impressive to you?
Exactly. I mean,
that clears up everything.
See, I don't know. Like, there's something about this movie that makes me say that I'd rather watch a film that I know is most likely going to be bad, on the off chance that it may surprise me.
Yes.
Whereas I knew this film was going to be good because of the A-list actors, and I knew it was going to be really great acting.
Yeah.
And it did get pretty intense in some scenes, but by and large, it was just something that I, like, it was just,
At the end of this film, Robert De Niro is basically a broken person. He's
Right.
like physically and mentally broken. He's lost his wife due to cheating. He has no friends. He tries to like sexually harass his coworkers. He's out of a job by himself now, basically. So is it just this whole movie is about him repenting and paying for his crimes?
I feel like that's essentially what it is. And like we were introduced to the fact that he's been a terrible person his entire life ever since he got married and like had a kid. But what bothers me about it is I feel like the film is definitely set up to be more than what it is. Because like you said, it's like it sets up all this stuff and then it just turns all that on its head, which probably could have been cool if, there was more weight on maybe Edward Norton's side. Like if we were to invest more into his character, because by the end, I felt like he was more of a supporting role than a main character. Like he was not a nemesis. He just kind of started off as a nemesis and then dwindled away.
Yeah,
and you're like,
absolutely.
If he had the same weight at the end of the film as he did at the beginning, this film would have been awesome.
Well, it's because the cat and mouse game went away. He lost himself in this Zaboomafoo religion, and he just became like this dude who wanted to like do Om Shanrikyo shit and fucking take acid. I don't know.
I have a little aside for you because you just made me very happy with something that I want to try out. I know you were just making words up, kind of, not really. You just said a Z word that came to mind. Do you remember what Zaboomafoo was?
Wasn't it like a kids' TV show or something?
It was a kids' TV show where Zaboomafoo was a lemur, a puppet lemur. And now that you've said Zaboomafoo religion, I cannot stop thinking about it, and I want it to start right now. Please.
I wouldn't know how to pitch it though, because I don't remember much about it.
I don't remember much about it either. I just remember seeing him, and if I can just picture him up in a cloud, like like an angel, almost like God, and he's looking kind of like the Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
What do his nipples and feet look like?
That's a really good question. I remember his feet being, lemurish. I don't think I've ever seen a lemur's nipple, but if I had to guess, they're kind of like my cat's nipple.
Well, we got to shave that lemur.
But
that's the only way.
How often? I mean, this isn't Equus or whatever, where it's like we confuse our fascination with God with sexual attraction. I'm not going to fuck Zaboomafoo.
Okay, that's good. That's a good first step in the healing process.
So why are you bringing up nipples and feet? Also, I know I made a joke about it, but why is it that we now have to just assume that everything that is sexually attractive is just nipples and feet?
I mean, that's just the world we live in, Dan.
I suppose
that's
so.
Just the world we live in today, 2018.
Let's get back to this movie.
You know what?
It was a digression. I apologize. I just think that somebody needs to invest a lot of time into making, Zaboomafoo the new Christianity.
You know what, Dan? I should not have brought up nipples and feet. I don't know where that came from. I mean, this is the first time it's mentioned, and I just really feel like it's derailed the whole show. And I will not talk about nipples or feet, especially pertaining to the female actresses of the movie Stone 2010.
There's not a lot of Frances McCoy nipples and feet in this movie. Is that her name? I feel like I'm getting that wrong again. Where are we?
Well, here's the thing, because Dan, you basically described the entire film. So I've just been kind of saying things I found interesting in the movie.
It bothered me that it just kind of died off like that, where it starts off this really cool long con that you're just waiting for, and then Edward Norton's just like, I found Zaboomafoo. Okay, let's talk about that. So he is getting frustrated because once he finds it, he kind of offhandedly says it to Jack in one of their meetings. And then Jack's like, I don't want to fucking talk to you anymore. You're being weird. And then he leaves. And then he tries in the courtyard where everybody's being loud to find his sinner. And he gets pissed off about it. So you would think that he wants to get out even more now. But no, he's like, he doesn't, because he finds a sinner in his cell. And he's like, oh, I can do this now.
he gets his girlfriend of 10 years or whatever to hatch this plan with him. Hatch this plan. Ha 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 ha. And seduce Robbie De Niro so he can get out and blackmail him or whatever. And then when she finally does it, she's like, did I do good? You know, like, why aren't you happy right now?
That was a good
He's
scene.
just like, yeah, oh my God.
Because she starts crying and he just doesn't change. He's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I found my place.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not worried about that anymore. I'm worried about more spiritual things. Like, I have other stuff that I find more important. And that's like kind of fucked up and like
it's very fucked up.
Selfish.
Extremely
self-centered.
selfish.
Boy. But yeah, it was interesting. We forgot to mention this. I think I railroaded it a bit, but when Mila Jovovich is meeting with Robert De Niro and she convinces him to go to his house or her house but with the magnets, she's like, I use magnets.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, you know how microwaves and radios are getting toxins into your body? Well, I think magnets detoxify you.
Yeah, complete bullshit. And he's like, yeah, really? Okay. He's like, he's
could
buying
be
into
saying
it.
anything.
And then she says the most fucking ridiculous thing. She's like, you should come over sometime because I got these insoles.
You in pain?
Yeah, it's just my back.
Where'd you get that playing ball or like from some war?
No, it's just life. So I don't know if I can. I don't want you to get your hopes up.
About what?
What I can do for you, for your husband. There's a whole
You ever
system.
tried magnet therapy? For your back, I mean. It's like these magnets that you wear and stuff.
Magnets?
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, you should come over sometime because I got these insoles this guy sold me, and I wear them in my shoes, and I don't get tired in school or anything. And yeah, and sometimes I even put them under my pillow before I go to sleep.
And what does that do?
Well, okay. You know how we're all toxic and stuff, right? With like all the microwaves and cell phones and all that weird stuff flying through the air. So it all builds up inside of you, right? And it makes you all achy and upset. And it can give you brain tumors, really. I mean, it kills people. So these magnets, they detox you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real. I believe it. You don't believe it?
I don't know, I guess.
No, it's real. I mean, look, I'm all into the body, you know? And for me, if the body's feeling good, the mind just follows, you know? Absolutely. My kids made them. Now I got them all and I have to eat them.
They're nice, they're pretty.
Eat me, please.
Why not?
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay. And he goes.
Yeah. He's just like, all right.
Like,
and they do a good enough job of setting him up as being not happy with the way his sex life is right now.
right.
Because like Stone, Ed Norton questions him on all that. He's like, I want to just ask you, like, how does your junk work? Like, you take like Viagra or what's the deal? He's like, this is very inappropriate. We should not be talking about this. But it was an interesting question. It was almost like he was setting him up from the beginning to get him to think
and then he
about
just
this.
fucking stopped caring about the whole
Yeah.
plot. Like,
In that
we
long
keep
con.
repeating
Yeah,
it, but that's
he
the whole
does.
thing.
Edward Norton stops caring about the plot.
Well, no, I'm saying the plot that he made.
Yes, it's
Yeah. He's just like, I got this really great plan, and then halfway through, he's like, "Fuck that shit! I found Zaboomafoo."
Woo! I'm in between the lions now, motherfucker.
Anyway,
I'm in Elmo's world, bitch.
here are a couple things that I found strange. What was with his coming to Jesus moment while he was witnessing somebody be stabbed?
Oh, that was insane. Okay, so simultaneously, probably one of the better shots in the movie, I love this, is when Mila Jovovich is taking Robert De Niro. He's in a very submissive state. He's like laying on his back. He's kind of just letting it happen. And Mila is just like running her body all over him, taking his clothes off. But while he sinks back into the bed, the background is all black. It's like a black void.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's entered this weird dark dimension where this sex is going on and he can't think of anything else. And just that's what he's raptured and focused on. And at the same time, Edward Norton is witnessing a man get stabbed in jail. And he is like reaching out to this dead person and just staring into this guy's eyes, which are like a dead blank void. So they're both having this weird switch. Like that's when both characters change completely in terms of like their thinking, I guess. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know what the deeper meaning is behind it.
Well, I mean,
but the imagery looked cool.
The imagery is fantastic.
The whole thing with Stone staring at the dead body. Here's what I got from it: that he is just now realizing that he is a sociopath. It almost seemed like he was getting ready to be a serial killer, because later on, like you were saying, he confesses to helping hide the evidence of his grandparents, because in the beginning of the movie he says he was with his friend and they were both tweaked out on drugs, and his friend goes into his grandparents' house to get money or something, and then he ends up killing them and chopping them up in a really crazy way. And he said he had stayed outside and never went in the house, and that his friend burned the house down and he was just there and he watched. But apparently he was there. He sees the dead bodies. He feels nothing. And he thinks the only thing I can think to do to make this make sense is to burn the house down. And that when he did it, he enjoyed it. And it was like the bodies were being taken away to a different place.
This kind of makes me
fucking crazy.
I don't know how I feel about that, because I want to say it kind of makes me appreciate his character more.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that you say, like, he has that moment where he realizes that he doesn't feel guilty, that implies that whenever he's lying about it and is acting all thuggish before, his lying is a...
Yeah.
Whereas
it's like,
the more he reads about this new religion, the more he's trying to find his center, he realizes that he doesn't need to lie because he really enjoyed himself. So I don't know. I like that character arc, but why I don't like it, why I'm kind of averted to it, is I don't think that's possible. Because I don't think sociopaths ever transgress like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing, because I think when he was watching this guy get stabbed and killed, he wasn't afraid, or like, he was having an epiphany, but it was almost like, oh, I'm okay with this. It's like, this is fine to me. Like, he enjoyed watching it happen, I think. It was pretty fucking crazy.
What I'm saying is, like, sociopaths might have that revelation, but they have it super early in life.
Well,
whenever they learn
it's
about
a movie,
it. I don't know.
Eventually, old Eddie Nordy's gets released.
Yeah.
Because Robert De Niro makes the deal, and then he immediately regrets it. He can't reverse it. So he's like, I don't want to have any part of this. And instead of attending the hearing that he's going to have, which they're probably going to say he can get released, he leaves and goes to his house, and he spends that whole night like in a different room with his gun, like watching, because he thinks this guy's going to come and get him. And one of the weirder scenes in the film is the house gets set on fire. Right. And you're like, oh, okay, Edward Norton did this. He had to have, because he set the other house on fire. Like, he just got released.
It's called a modus operandi. And that makes sense.
No one's there, and he gets his wife out of the house, and the house is burning.
And then what does his wife
Robert
do?
De Niro's... Yeah, I mean...
What does his wife say, Jared?
She's just like, I want to blame it on old rags, old dirty rags.
She says...
In the basement.
The faulty wiring, Jack.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you talking about? That's not... She's like, it's as good of an excuse as any. And that made me think,
as
like,
any.
Did you set this fire because you can't fucking stand to live in this house anymore? If so, he doesn't fucking talk to you about his work. So, like, the symbolism of the arson is completely moot, because that makes no sense.
Oh, so you think she did it? That makes more sense.
Why would she use fire?
Why would she want to cover it up? Yeah. Oh, well, you're saying why would she use fire? I don't know, but like, why would she have to make a cover-up excuse? Why couldn't they just say, we don't know what happened, or we think it was Edward Norton or whatever that set the house on fire? It was interesting because Stone, through a lot of the later parts of the film, while he's all religious, is trying to tell Robert De Niro to just restart his life. Like, what you're doing, you hate your life, you're not in a good way, and you should just burn it all down and get rid of it. Like, just restart anew and try to find your own way again. And he's like, no, I'm not listening to you. And then his wife does it?
I suppose.
I don't know. Do you think that was, I guess now thinking about it, that was maybe the wife's way of escaping being with him? It's like, well, we don't have this fucking house anymore.
Well,
yeah, it was weird. And then it never gets brought up again. I mean, Robert De Niro goes off and he hits on one of his colleagues, because he's been with Mila, so he thinks, oh, I can be with any lady now. I'm a ladies' man. Oh, I want to be like I was when I was young. And he finds out quickly that's not the case. Makes a fool of himself, acts really awful, and gets sent home. And it was like for his retirement party or whatever. And then he takes his gun and he finds Edward Norton. I thought he was going to go there to try to talk to Mila, but I guess he just runs into Norton. And then corners him in an alley with a gun and threatens to kill him. And you're like, oh, that was kind of a cool scene where you really didn't know if he was going to shoot him or not, or what was going to happen. And then he just gives up on it and walks away. I was like, God damn.
So what you're saying is you don't necessarily... I don't know. How do I want to say this? You don't necessarily like this film as much as you're saying you do? I'm confused about.
No, it's, I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of good elements in this movie. Yeah. I just don't know how to feel about it. It's weird. Maybe if I had more time to sit on it.
I agree. Like, I don't know how to feel about it either. But I do know how to feel about this.
Uh-oh.
Where does Mila Jovovich live?
In our hearts and minds forever?
In the movie.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, and like they keep showing like a barber shop or something.
It's not a barber shop.
What is it?
It's a shoe repair store.
Okay. Sole?
Feet.
The sole of a shoe? Oh, feet.
Foot, egg, and nipple.
The three pillars.
Like the holy trinity of cinema history right here.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's all culminated into this one movie. Yep. We found it, guys. We found it. The real meaning of life.
The Holy Grail.
To Zanzibar. Yeah.
I don't know. This film is just so weird. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to feel about it.
It's a weird movie.
It's not like weird in a awesome, let's watch it.
It's not weird in a weird sense.
It's just like...
That's the best way I can describe it. It's not weird in a weird way.
Exactly. It's not like something that you're going to be like, wow, I don't know if I like that assault on my vision. It's like, huh, I've never seen a film act this way before. This is strange.
Yes. Yeah. We're so programmed into thinking like this is how movies should go, and this movie's like, nah, I don't think so. And you're like,
movie, stop being weird. He's like, just let me do my thing. You're like, I guess I'm committed to you. I can deal with whatever you want to do, I suppose. But it's like, all right, you can turn me off anytime you want.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but then I'd say the writing would be the weakest part, but yet some of the writing was
dialogue
awesome because it was delivered by
the dialogue. The dialogue is fantastic, but dialogue has to do a lot with narrative. I feel like the structure of the narrative it didn't service me in the way I wanted it to be servicing me. You know what I mean?
Maybe individual scenes of dialogue were great, but the overall story
De Niro
was confusing.
And Norton had a back and forth. It was fantastic.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, there's a great scene of when I played this scene twice because I was confused, but it was still great. Robert De Niro's sitting with his wife, and his wife is explaining to him about some story she heard. And this is just before Mila Jovovich shows up at his house, and she's like, okay, please leave. I don't want my wife to know we had an affair. And she just... She starts like telling him something. He's like, "Isn't that interesting, honey?" And he's just staring off, and he just is like, "You're a cocksucker piece of shit.
So fucking
bitch.
Funny.
Fucking make me a drink, you fucking bastard."
It was hilarious. I rewinded that scene too because I couldn't stop laughing at it.
It was so great. It was so out of character for her, but it was a good. I think it did well of like how she really felt, and she's like kind of trapped like
and then,
that.
Like you also have like weird nods to like Citizen Kane, even where the majority of the time that he's doing his thing, like watching golf on TV, she's in the corner of the room playing, doing a jigsaw puzzle, which is what happens at the end of Citizen Kane whenever he takes his second wife. And then she realizes that he's just an old dude that doesn't want to do anything, and she's too young for him. Yeah. And all she does all day is just do fucking jigsaw puzzles. So you have that pastime that it makes you think about that, and it gives you the sense of like she feels trapped for sure.
And golf is kind of an allegory for him in his younger days when he was young man, and sex basically too. Because whenever he plays golf, he thinks about Mila Jovovich.
And they live in the middle of nowhere, so the only golf course he can afford is like a fucking cornfield. So take that for what it's worth.
It's interesting. And thus concludes another interesting podcast.
Like, it's just a weird fucking movie.
I guess that's our final thoughts there. Yeah, we got a little thrown off today with some audio technical issues, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And then we got thrown off with this movie that...
What are you going to do?
Did we cover all your notes? Because I covered everything I wanted to talk about that I found strange.
I mean, them drinking a lot. Robert De Niro, he buys 2 bottles of whiskey without even asking the cashier. He just hands it to them.
That was a pretty cool
to him,
scene.
and then he walks out. I mean, the movie ends just kind of with he's broken. You don't see the wife anymore. Mila's cheating on Edward Norton with some guy at a bar, and Ed Norton's just walking down the street. Like, nothing happens. You hear the buzzing sound, and that's kind of it. You know, like he gets out. Ed Norton's out, but he's religious now. And Robert De Niro's not religious, and he's a broken man. So did they switch? Have they changed? Is one person in the prison and the other's out? Who knows? I don't know. Is it the prison of the mind? What does that mean about religion, too? Is religion supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing in this? Or is it just whatever?
It's just... I mean, I don't know. I feel like it became your own personal truth, and he was struggling to come to terms with his own personal truth, whereas Norton does.
He surrenders to that.
I don't know. De Niro's character either doesn't know how to or refuses to, and that I feel like that was up for interpretation, but I don't know how much I like that, you know.
It's just this movie was kind of hard to talk about. I didn't think we were going to have... Well, I was
too.
To really pinpoint what the fuck this movie is. And if you go and look at reviews, I feel like that's how everyone felt. They're just kind of like, I don't know. It was okay.
I was reading one that was like, this movie's so messed up. I'm like, not really.
I don't know about that.
It's just like, I don't know. This movie, final thought, this movie knows what it wants to be, and it was. It didn't try to please anybody. It was just like, look, man, it's either you want this or you don't. Your choice.
So I enjoyed it, but I can't recommend it to anyone.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Like, I'm not going to tell it, hey, you should really watch Stone.
I wouldn't recommend it at all.
There's no way. I can't do it. But it was pretty good. The acting, maybe select scenes and be like, watch this. It's pretty great. That's about it. But like I said, I think everyone in this movie did a great job. So with that, I mean, I think, Dan, you have a movie you want to assign.
I do. I have a choice between your categories are 2017, a movie that you know a little bit about, and a movie that has a title that makes me laugh.
Let's do a title that makes you laugh. Because we need laughter
have selected
in comedy.
Harlock.
Oh, God.
Space pirate.
Harlock. Oh, no. No, actually, I don't know. So Harlock, I know, is a very famous anime or something, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an animated film. I don't know. Here, how about we just have a little conversation? Let's actually break down what it is. So either Harlock Space Pirate, the one that you know a little bit about that I know that you've said is Gaunt's Zero. And then there's 2 from 2017. One is called Blame, and one is a animated Godzilla, and there's one part of it, so there's gonna have a sequel.
Oh no, I'm fine with watching Harlock, and this is the 2013. It's like CG animated. Okay.
Well, I mean, so is Gaunt's Zero, and so is Godzilla and Blame are more traditional animation, but
so this was like an old manga.
So determined to keep the malevolent Gaia coalition from ruling the universe, a mysterious loner cruises the skies and boldly attacks enemy spaceships. And I don't know why, but Harlock Space Pirate just sounds so funny to me. It's
Dan, you forgot to say while looking fabulous at the end of that sentence.
He does look pretty fabulous. He has a Jolly Roger on his fucking... He is a dandy, isn't he?
Yes. But I like characters like that. So I like characters who are like dandy like that. Like Zhang He from Dynasty Warriors, where he's kind of like, beauty is everything. I love that trope in anime too. It's great. But it's like, but
apparently,
I'm going to fuck you
this
up
pirate
right now.
film won Best International Animated Feature at the 3D Creative Arts Awards.
The 3D Creative Arts Awards.
It won an award somewhere where we don't care about.
Whoa! This movie won Best Anime Hair.
But if you want a good idea of just how it looks, just think what other films do this, like Resident Evil Revelation.
Yeah.
I feel like I may be the only person who watched that.
Anyways, that'll be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know jack shit about Harlock other than what I've already said. So
apparently it's just very
is what I'm
famous.
saying.
Okay.
Yes, to people who love that. But yeah, so I hope this was something, guys. Please find us on podbean.com/oldboyspodcast. I'm sure that is what it is. It's Old Boys Podcast. Twitter is oldboys_podcast. You can find us at all the places. We're on Stitcher. We're on fucking, what's the other one people love? iTunes. We're on all those things. Come say hello to us. Give us a review, preferably 5 stars. I'd appreciate it. And Dan, you have the final word. Thank you.
Watch out. You might get what you're after. Boom babies. Strange but not a stranger. I'm an ordinary guy. Burning down the house.